Plant and food research scientists are encouraged by evidence that native insects play a valuable role in food and forage crops. The insects have been identified as doing the heavy lifting in crop pollination, previously thought largely the work of bees. Another benefit of native insects is their role in predating on insect pests. The ongoing work has been a group effort, involving the Foundation for Arable Research as well as local environmental governance groups. Senior scientist at Plant and Food Research, Brad Howlett, explains.
This is a 5-year program. It is all about native plantings and what sort of beneficial insects are associated with those native plantings. So can we design those native plantings so farmers can get more out of those native plantings? So the project is funded by MPI through their Sustainable Food Fibres and Futures program. It has a whole lot of industries or organisations that are associated with land use on the Canterbury Plains. We've got the Foundation for Arable Research, Beef and Lamb, Synlait. We've got trusts and other organisations that do the planting, so that's the Te Ara Kakariki Trust and Brailsford. And then we've got the councils, so Selwyn District Council and ECAN. So it's a really sort of big group of people that are interested in land use. In terms of the project itself, Canterbury is a highly intensified agricultural district. In these sorts of landscapes, what we have is hardly any remnant vegetation left. So it's less than 0.5% of native plantings on the Canterbury Plains. In these sorts of systems, farmers are heavily reliant on managed honeybees for pollination and also insecticides to control pest species. So what we think we can do with these native plants is to encourage more biodiversity into this system so farmers have other insects that will help provide pollination and control insect pests. There's actually a surprising number of both native bees and also native flies that are actually just as efficient as honeybees in pollinating these crops. So something that our team have been studying for a number of years now. So what we can do is if we can get those insects in abundance in our crops, they can help provide us with resilience. So if the honeybees aren't being very effective as pollinators, it's too cold, it's the wrong time of the day, we've got these other insects that are also providing pollination. So you reckon here? So we measure the pollen deposition on stigmas, so the rate that happens against the honeybee with these insects. In our current program, we're also looking at seed set on a crop species that we place near native plantings versus bare fence lines and comparing the difference between the seed set. So that means that we can look at the diversity of insects associated and then the resulting seed set.
Behind us you'll see a planting site which is called Te Pai or Ahuriri, right here on the banks of the Huritini or the Horsell River. And that's a planting led by a trust that I'm a founding member of, and the current co-chair is called Te Ara Kakariki, and our other name is the Greenway Canterbury Trust, and we've been trying to restore native plants and biodiversity to the Canterbury Plains here in the Selwyn District. And this is just one of our 200 or so sites we've done now with landowners, farmers and councils across the district. Being part of that for the last 20 years, involved in ecological restoration in this area. In terms of mātauranga, I think it's fair to say that our knowledge of birds and plants, especially our native special things to this area, is quite well known. But I think insects, it's not really widespread. So it's been a really interesting process for me being involved to learn heaps about our native insects, but also other ones that have come along that are beneficial. And I'm hoping to keep sharing that with the hapu and the rūnanga to see, because I'm sure they don't know, just like I don't, that there's all these great things that they do.
Some farmers are just at that stage of thinking about biodiversity plantings. Others have got the ball rolling and they will be thinking about a range of functions. And traditionally it would have been more around shelter and erosion control. But anaesthetics and social licence to operate is really important for rural communities. But more so now it's around resilience and thinking about how to get the beneficials, the alternative pollinators and the beneficials supported on farm. And I think also biosecurity might become more of a driver. There are new incursions in New Zealand. We have fall armyworm. So building up that resilience and that readiness with the beneficials could certainly be of use. The benefits of the beneficials and supporting them with the biodiversity plantings, it's around providing them with that nectar source. So a lot of the beneficials that are really important on farm, some of them are residential predators, for example. We have native crab beetles and they can contribute to slug control, for example, but they live in the paddock or the paddock margin. But then we have a whole bunch of transient beneficials that fly in following their food source, which is the pests. So they're really important, and it's usually the larval stages that do the parasitizing or the predation, but the adult stages, they're the ones that feed on the nectar. So that's where the biodiversity plantings come in. They can provide that nectar source when there's gaps or just to support the beneficials. Parasitic wasps, for example, they can parasitize hundreds of aphids where they have access to a nectar source compared to just a few if they have a water source. There's been a shift in the attitudes towards the sprays being used on farm. There's more of an appreciation of the role that the beneficials can play. They're doing a lot of the heavy lifting for free, so let's try and get them contributing. The days of putting on a cheap broad spectrum, when you're going across the paddock anyway and you think it's not going to do any harm, they're going out of favour.
One of the key aims of this program is to get the information out to farmers so that they can utilise it. We also want to know what farmers and other landholders think of native plantings. Is there opportunity for them to incorporate this information into the native plantings that they may already be thinking of establishing for various reasons? So we want to provide them with that information. We are interested to know what they think, so if they could fill in a questionnaire that's online, really short, provide us with their contact email, we can send updates of the information as it comes out.